And now shifting our focus to Central Africa, a region rich in minerals crucial for technology and economic growth. India is reportedly holding talks with the Democratic Republic of Congo to sign an agreement that would secure supplies of critical minerals, such as cobalt and copper, from the Central African country.
In early 2025, a quiet handshake in Brazzaville sealed a deal that few outside Africa and Asia saw coming. It wasn't France, China, or the United States walking away with the prize. This time it was India. And the prize, a staggering $549 million oil deal with the Republic of Congo. For a country once viewed as a minor player in the oil game, Congo-Brazzaville suddenly found itself in the spotlight. And for India, this was more than just another trade agreement. It was a strategic leap into the heart of Africa's energy future. But how did this unlikely partnership emerge, and why is it shaking up the balance of global energy politics? To understand the true weight of this story, we have to peel back the layers of oil, diplomacy, and ambition. And as you'll see, this deal is about much more than just barrels of crude. It's about power, survival, and the shifting tides of global influence. And here is the twist. The ripple effects of this $549 million pact are already being felt in boardrooms, in shipping lanes, and in the shadowy halls of international diplomacy. But to really understand what India just pulled off, we need to start with a question: why Congo-Brazzaville, and why now? For decades, Africa's oil landscape has been a chessboard where the same old players make the moves. China, France, and the United States. Congo-Brazzaville was no exception. Since colonial times, France treated the country almost like an oil colony, with French company Total Energies deeply entrenched in exploration and exports. But as China's appetite for resources exploded in the early 2000s, Beijing muscled in. It offered loans, built infrastructure, and secured lucrative oil contracts. Roads, ports, and government buildings across Brazzaville bear Chinese fingerprints. By 2020, nearly 70% of Congo's oil exports were flowing east, straight to China. This was the stage India walked onto a crowded room with powerful competitors. For Brazzaville, however, there was a problem. China's no-strings-attached loans were starting to feel like shackles. Debt piled up, interest payments ballooned, and whispers of a new colonialism began to stir among Congolese politicians. France, meanwhile, was seen as a partner of the past, more interested in keeping influence than offering new opportunities. India presented something fresh, a partnership without the heavy debt traps and without the colonial baggage. Where France looked backward and China looked domineering, India positioned itself as an equal partner, fellow global South nation. But getting Brazzaville to turn away from China's billions wouldn't be easy. And what India did next shocked the usual power players. Because instead of fighting China head-on, India crafted a deal so specifically tailored to Congo's needs that it became irresistible. And to see why Brazzaville said yes, we need to look at how India sweetened the pot. The deal wasn't just about buying crude oil. That's the part most headlines missed. Yes, India agreed to invest $549 million into Congo's oil industry, but the real genius was in the side agreements. First, India offered to modernize Brazzaville's oil infrastructure. Outdated rigs, leaky pipelines, and inefficient refineries had been bleeding the Congolese economy for years. Indian engineers and technology firms promised upgrades, boosting production efficiency by nearly 15%. Second, India pledged training programs for Congolese workers. This wasn't just charity, it was strategy. By building local expertise, India ensured loyalty from the workforce and goodwill from the government. Third, and perhaps most strategically, India offered to build a new shipping corridor. The idea was simple but powerful: link Congo's oil terminals with Indian shipping lanes across the Indian Ocean, bypassing the usual reliance on European intermediaries. This meant faster delivery, lower costs, and direct India-Congo energy ties. The combination was irresistible. Congo didn't just see cash, it saw a future, where it had options beyond China's shadow and France's nostalgia. And yet, hidden beneath this deal was something even more significant: India's long-term vision for Africa as a whole. Because Congo-Brazzaville wasn't just a partner, it was a gateway. And to understand why India chose Congo as its African entry point, we need to zoom out and look at India's broader playbook on the continent. Africa has long been the battleground for resource competition, but India's approach has been quieter, almost stealthy. Unlike China, which arrives with mega projects and billion-dollar loans, India focuses on targeted partnerships. In East Africa, Indian companies are active in Mozambique's natural gas sector. In West Africa, India has inked deals for gold and bauxite. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's eyeing cobalt for batteries. And now, in Central Africa, Congo-Brazzaville's oil completes the puzzle. Why is this so important? Because India's energy security is hanging by a thread. With tensions in the Middle East and Russia's supply chain disruptions, Africa provides a safer, more diversified source of energy. But beyond energy, India sees something bigger, a chance to build a South-South alliance where developing nations trade directly, bypassing traditional Western dominance. Congo-Brazzaville was the perfect choice. Its size made it approachable, its oil reserves made it valuable, and its need for allies made it open to negotiation. But here's the kicker. While the headlines celebrated the $549 million oil deal, behind closed doors, Indian negotiators were planting seeds for something even bigger, something that could transform not just Congo, but the entire region. And that brings us to the part of the deal almost nobody is talking about, the infrastructure projects hidden in the fine print. When countries sign oil deals, most people imagine tankers, pipelines, and crude barrels, but India saw an opportunity to do more. As part of the agreement, Indian firms committed to investing in roads, power plants, and even digital infrastructure in Congo-Brazzaville. Why does this matter? Because Congo's oil wealth has always been trapped. Pipelines end before they reach new fields. Roads wash out during the rainy season, electricity grids are unreliable. Without infrastructure, oil stays underground, and potential profits evaporate. By tying infrastructure to the oil deal, India wasn't just buying energy, it was buying influence. Every road paved with Indian money, every power station branded with Indian technology, became a symbol of partnership. This wasn't aid, it was strategy. And here's where the open loop gets fascinating. These infrastructure projects are designed to connect not just Congo-Brazzaville, but also its neighbors Cameroon, Gabon, and even the Central African Republic. In other words, India isn't just investing in one country. It's quietly laying the foundation for an entire regional network. And if that sounds ambitious, wait until you see how this deal ties into India's global competition with China. For years, the global narrative has been dominated by US-China competition. But with this $549 million oil deal, India has signaled that it's ready to enter the game. Think about it. China's Belt and Road Initiative built ports, highways, and railroads across Africa. But it came at a cost: massive debts and political backlash. India's model, by contrast, is smaller, sharper, and more personal. It doesn't need to build 100 highways, it just needs one crucial shipping corridor. It doesn't need to own every oil field, it just needs enough to secure its future. The Congo-Brazzaville deal is India's proof of concept. If it works, expect to see similar deals popping up across Africa, from Angola's deepwater oil to Tanzania's gas reserves. And every time, India will be carving out space in a world once dominated by others. But there's a catch. The more India rises in Africa, the more it risks triggering a backlash not just from China and France, but from African citizens who may start to wonder if India is any different from the powers that came before. And that leads us to the final, critical question. Is this deal truly a partnership of equals, or is it just another chapter in Africa's long history of being used